And this is, of course, the book that we've been working with. We call it Words of My Perfect Teacher Review, since it's not every page, but we're taking a good deep look at each of the chapters of Words of My Perfect Teacher, both so that we can have a deeper understanding of Dharma, and especially for those who are doing the Longqing Ningtig Nunjo practice. Words of My Perfect Teacher by Patrul Rinpoche is one of our deep guides. So I welcome everybody. I always become very joyous to be able to share the Dharma, and it's wonderful to see people and we're all engaged. So thank you so much. This evening we are on chapter 4. And the title of this chapter, and first looking at it, chapter 4, we go, oh, okay, that's mandala, because many of the people who are doing the Longqing Ningtig Nunjo know that there's the accumulation of merit through the mandala offering. Except that chapter 4, it's a little bit more than just a mandala offering, but it's offering the mandala to accumulate merit and wisdom. And merit is an interesting word in Buddhism, and it's not a word that we use all of the time in Western countries. We might use it if we have an award. We might use it if we're in some kind of competitions, but I want to read on the glossary from Words of My Perfect Teacher this word, merit. It says, merit is good karma, the energy generated by positive actions of body, speech, and mind. And why is merit so important? And especially the accumulation of merit. Why do we need so much? Why do we need to accumulate? And also in some of our Buddhist trainings, we go, well, I'm not really trying to accumulate things. I'm trying to let go. But here with the mandala offerings, we're actually talking about accumulation. And also that it goes on throughout our practice and our lives until we reach the goal of Buddhahood. And even talking about the goal of Buddhahood, there has been, as we've talked about before, the recognition is that Buddhahood is already within us. So then it's that journey to what is. The first paragraph, and I like to say page numbers for those who want to follow in Words of My Perfect Teacher, on page 283. And, you know, it's interesting. I was looking like, who is the author of this italicized paragraph? And I thought, well, it must be Patrul Rinpoche. And so Patrul Rinpoche says, you know the relative to be a lie. Now, of course, that means that which we see, hear, see, taste, and touch. We a lot of times will identify the solidity. And so Patrul Rinpoche is calling that a lie, because we many times identify with what we see, hear, taste, or touch. And in reality, it's all interconnected, dissolving, interdependent. So Patrul Rinpoche says, you know the relative to be a lie, yet still you practice the two accumulations. So that's a declaration. So even those who know, and many of us have been practicing many years, and we know, but still we do the two accumulations. And again, there's that word accumulate. You realize that in the absolute, there is nothing to be meditated on. So again, that's our practices, whether people have done Dzogchen practices or practices on emptiness, or have come to their own realizations, but rather that is the wisdom of emptiness. So you realize that in the absolute, there's nothing to be meditated on, yet still you practice meditation. And that's our direction, correct? We don't just go, oh, already done there, been there, you know, what do they say, got the t-shirt? No, one keeps practicing. You see relative and absolute as one. And of course, that's talking about very deep wisdom. Yet still, you diligently practice. Peerless teacher, at your feet I bow. And that is to Guru Padmasambhava. So here Patrul Rinpoche is identifying all the different aspects of practice that many of us have experienced and saying, we still accumulate. And so then he goes on to say the need for the two accumulations. And I'll just read it straight out. Patrul Rinpoche says it well. It is impossible to attain the twofold purity. And I'm going to read that note of what that says. And it's note 200, which is on page 391. And I want to read that because for many of us, we maybe do the practices, even do the Nunja practice, but then there are a lot of other maybe terminologies or even things maybe our friends say or other teachers say. You go to a lecture, oh, they said that. What does that really mean? So here we have this word, the twofold purity. So on page 391, note 200, the twofold purity is to possess the purity of the Buddha nature in the first place, and then the purity of having actualized it and achieved Buddhahood. So there we have a little bit of what was said just a few minutes ago, that Buddhahood is already within and yet needs to be actualized and realized. And with Patrul Rinpoche's encouragement, that's what our practice is all about. And that's what our accumulations are for. According to the teachings of the Nyingma tradition, the primordially pure nature, which is Buddhahood, and the qualities of the three kayas already dwell within us in their entirety. And as we do not need to seek them elsewhere, but if we do not use the two accumulations as auxiliary factors, these qualities will not become manifest. It is like the sun, although its rays illuminate the sky by themselves, it is still necessary for the wind to drive away the clouds which hide it. So there we have what the twofold purity is all about. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the continuation, which says, and so it's impossible to attain the twofold purity of Buddhahood or to realize fully the truth of emptiness without completing the two accumulations of merit and wisdom. As it says in the sutras, until one has completed the two sacred accumulations, one will never realize sacred emptiness. And innate absolute wisdom can only come as the mark of having accumulated merit and purified obscurations. And through the blessings of a realized teacher, know that to rely on any other means is foolish. So it's again talking about merit, it's talking about purification, and it gives us a direction. And in the middle of page 284, it says, even when your realization transcends the very notions of there being anything to accumulate or purify, continue still to accumulate, even the smallest amounts of merit. So once again, it is that encouragement, and it is letting us know this is what's needed. The conqueror, in his great compassion and with all his skills and means, taught innumerable methods by which the two accumulations can be performed. The best of all these methods is the offering of the mandala. A tantra says, to offer to the Buddhas and all the Buddha fields, the entire cosmos of a billion worlds, replete with everything that could be desired, will perfect the primordial wisdom of the Buddhas. And then below, there is a little note with the two stars. And it says, the meaning that the accumulation of merit through this practice will allow the perfect wisdom of one's Buddha nature to manifest. So once again, re-emphasizing that we have the Buddha nature, it does need to manifest, okay? So the encouragement, the recognition of what is, and then I want to take a moment with this word, Buddha fields. So there's a very nice picture in the beginning of this chapter, which is the mandala of the universe. And I think I'll hold this up. I don't know if it will be visual, but this is a Buddha field and universe. So I think what's important with this Buddha field and even this word is that when we're doing our accumulations, when we are doing our mandala offerings, that we have an expanded mind. You know, so much of the time we're concentrated, we're focused, we're getting things done, we're whatever we're doing, you know, we're cooking a meal or we're doing our work or even taking a walk. But do we really let our minds expand? Do we let our minds expand like we're looking up at the stars? And that's really important because this expansive mind is what we can open ourselves to in terms of our mandala offerings, because a lot of the time we are visualizing. And we've talked about mandala previously when we were doing the Nundro practice about a year ago. And that's still on the Samdenling virtual Gampa on YouTube. And we talked about having an accomplishment mandala and then also using our mandala pan, where we make offerings of maybe precious metals or maybe little beads or rice and grain and medicines. And we offer that to the refuge field, and we do this for the accumulation of merit. And in Tibetan Buddhism, what is quite remarkable is that one can visualize their offerings. So the larger we can make it, then we can make more and more offerings and have those expanded. I also think it's kind of good for the mind to do that, to just kind of let it expand. And how much can we really offer? Sometimes when we read in the old texts, we read about some of the nice offerings were an elephant or a cow. And that might not be what might be what's important to some people, but not necessarily to everyone. So it's important to offer what is valuable, what's important to us, and really to make it bigger. Okay. The mandala pan is just a symbol of it all. And what is very impactful is our own minds. So this idea of a Buddha field or offering Buddha fields and offering into the universe is really quite nice. I heard a program the other evening talking about expanded mind, which this is slightly different, but somebody was asking a question or saying that, you know, they wanted to make their problems smaller. And the Dalai Lama said, no, make your mind bigger. So in our way of making offerings, also to make it bigger. And the same thing if there's obstructions or if there is anything in the way, make the mind bigger. All right, so we're taking a look at the mandala. There's certainly a lot of explanation for the how-tos in this chapter. And so the how-tos are, the mechanics, shall we say, is on page 286 to 291. And this book actually gives a couple of different ways to do one's mandala offerings. It's a little more elaborate than we've been doing in our Longchen Nyingtig Nunjo practice, but it's always good to see. And again, that emphasis on offering what we're connected to, what's precious to us. You know, was it a garden? Is it flowers? Is it, you know, fine foods? It can be many, many kinds of things. And then in terms of ownership, is it things that we like owning, and that would be a beautiful offering, and we get to visualize it. So that's nice too. But making sure that it is feeling connected. And then again, on page 285, talks about the accomplishment mandala, and that we can use either the accomplished mandala or the refuge tree. And the accomplished mandala is something that we see on the shrine, maybe a teacher who's giving a talk, a lecture, an empowerment, and we usually see an accomplishment mandala, and we also, maybe some people have one that they've created in their own homes. But otherwise, we can also visualize the Longchen Nyingtig refuge tree. Interesting in this chapter, it talks about, which I found it interesting, it talks about the water bowl offerings. And since we're talking about a shrine that might have an accomplishment mandala on it, also a shrine that has water bowl offerings and fresh water. And what's interesting on page 91, where it talks about it, it talks about not just the water offering, but the emptiness of the bowl. So there you have a wisdom aspect, while you also have an offering aspect. And here is where we begin to once again bring in merit and wisdom. So again, we're not just accomplishing merit, but we're also accomplishing wisdom. And that's super important. And the water offerings, it is in Tibet, you know, where this is maintained, there is a lot of water. And there's a lot of fresh, beautiful water. It's the headwaters of 5 major rivers of all of Asia, including the Mekong. So it makes sense that with so much water in Tibet, that water offerings is a part of the shrine. And when I traveled there, I saw just many lakes, rivers, rushing rivers, waterfalls. There's water everywhere. So this is something that is both very lovely and also very easy to do. So it's always fresh water. Any of the offerings, any of the visualizations, it's always pure, fresh, new, and so forth. And then also in the offerings is offering the unborn absolute. So offerings are not just for objects, but they're also the offerings of our own understanding, our own wisdom, and that those are shared also. On page 292, let me make sure I'm caught up with myself. Actually, on page 291 is where it talks about the clean water. It says, as a way of accumulating merit, offering clean water is extremely effective if you do it diligently. Clean the 7 offering bowls and lay them out side by side, not too close, not too far, having them be straight, clear of grains, no insects, and the bowls filled with care. So again, this idea of how something. And then there is speaks of offering arranged perfectly, distinctively, and sublimely, whatever form of offering you make. If you make it beautiful and pleasing, even in the way it's set out, the respect you show to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in doing so will bring a vast amount of merit. So here we have something intangible, right? We have an offering which is respect. And that the way of doing something respectfully to be meritorious. And then at the bottom of page 291, it says, in short, when you offer the mandala, whatever you use should be clean. It should be offered in a pleasing way, and your intention should be utterly pure. And on the top of page 292, at no stage of the path should you stop trying to perform practices for accumulating merit, such as the mandala offering. As the Tantra says, without any merit, there can be no accomplishment. One cannot make oil by pressing sand. So again, that emphasis on the continual making of mandala offerings. And at the bottom of page 292, it says, by completing the accumulation of merit, which involves concepts, you attain the supreme Rupakaya. By completing the accumulations of wisdom, which is beyond concepts, you attain the supreme Dharmakaya. The temporary achievements of ordinary life are also made possible by accumulated merit. Without any merit, all our efforts, however great, will be in vain. Some people, for example, without ever having to make the slightest effort, are never short of food, money, or possessions in the present because of the stock of merit they have accumulated in the past. Other people spend their whole lives rushing hither and thither, trying to get rich through trade, farming, and so on, but it does them not even the tiniest bit of good, and they end up dying of hunger. This is something everyone can see for themselves. The same applies even to perpetuating wealth deities, dharma protectors, and so on, in the hopes of attaining a corresponding supernatural accomplishment. Such deities can grant us nothing unless we can draw on the fruits of our own past generosity. And then further down on page 293, since whatever we have is only the result of the merit we have accumulated in the past, one spark of merit is worth more than a mountain of effort. Should I read that again? Since whatever we have is only the result of merit we have accumulated in the past, one spark of merit is worth more than a mountain of effort. So again, these are our past actions. These are our offerings. And to come back to our ninja practice, we have the possibility of the 100,000 mandala offerings to create, and this word accumulate, merit. These days, when people see the slightest wealth or power in this, and I don't know which land, barbaric land of ours, they are all amazed and exclaim, my, how is this possible? In fact, this sort of thing does not require much in the way of accumulated merit at all. The effect of making an offering when the intention of the one who offers and the object to which the offering is made are both pure, it's exemplified in a tale of Mandharati. And then it goes on to say that. So again, emphasis on merit and accumulating merit. And then on page 295, it says, all the practices that the bodhisattvas undertake to accumulate merit and wisdom or to dissolve obscurations have but one goal, the welfare of all living creatures throughout space. Any wish to attain perfect Buddhahood just for your own sake, let alone practice aimed at accomplishing the goals of this life, has nothing whatever to do with the great vehicle. Whatever practice you may do, whether accumulating merit and wisdom or purifying obscurations, do it for the benefit of the whole infinity of beings. Do not mix it with any self-centered desires. That way, as a secondary effect, even without your wishing it, your own interest and comfort and happiness in this life will automatically be taken care of, just like smoke rising by itself when you blow on a fire, or barley shoots springing up as a matter of course when you sow grain, but abandon like poison any impulse to devote yourself to such things for your own sake. So again, we're coming back to the bodhisattva intention, to remembering that the accumulation of merit is for the sake of all sentient beings. And again, that's another expansion of the mind. It's another expansion of our intention. And it also, I mean, just doing that, right? Thinking of all sentient beings, thinking of the offering of Buddha fields, and we can even feel it in our bodies. Just the whole is much larger than it seems, and the impact is very great. So I do recommend, if you need to look at Words of My Perfect Teacher for the mechanics of the mandala. Also, again, it is under the Samdenling virtual Gampa for the mandala offerings. And we also have a few nice words from, there's a companion book which was written by a disciple of Patrul Rinpoche, and it's called A Guide to Words of My Perfect Teacher. And it's interesting to glance at that. He follows, of course, the same as his teacher. And then there's a few other ideas to look at. It's, for example, there's a quote on offering the mandala, and this again is in the Guide towards My Perfect Teacher. Both books are on the samdenling.org website under resources. So on page 241, it says that when we're offering the mandala of the ground, which is unborn space. So here you go, that the ground of the entire mandala offering is unborn space. Again, that expanded mind, that wisdom piece. And to reflect to the Buddhas, those thus gone, and to the sacred law immaculate, the Dharma, supreme and rare, and to the Buddha's offspring, oceans of good qualities, that I might gain this precious attitude, I make a perfect offering. So again, that word is attitude, which is interesting for this book, but I think that might sum it up, that we want to take the attitude that our mandala practice is for the sake of all sentient beings, and also that there is the aspect of vastness, and there is the offering of that which is precious to us. It also involves the wisdom piece, the emptiness that we know, okay, it's all relative what we're offering. And at the same time, we offer it. And we are also offering that ground of the unborn wisdom. So thank you.